Do not invite me in until I name the man who betrayed the dying stranger.
Then name him.
The senior councilor beneath my crown ordered it.
And now he knows where I live?
Your mercy awakened a law older than my throne.
What does it demand?
I protect your freedom. I never claim it.
I accept protection, not obedience.
The council officers climbing those stairs
Intend to isolate you. Come inside.
2 hours earlier, Emily Carter had no idea one act of mercy could threaten a throne. At 28, she was exhausted from a double shift at Riverside Grill and carrying only $23 until payday. She pulled her faded blue jacket tighter, stepped into the cold November rain, and began the 1-mile walk to her apartment. 2 semesters of emergency medical training, abandoned when rent and tuition became impossible to pay together, had taught her to notice danger before approaching it. That habit mattered when she saw what looked like a discarded coat beside a dumpster in a narrow service alley. Lightning revealed the outline of a motionless man. Emily stopped at the entrance, checked the alley for anyone else, called emergency services, and kept the dispatcher on speaker as she moved closer. The stranger appeared to be in his early 30s, tall even while folded against the pavement, with dark hair, an elegant black coat, and skin so pale that the yellow security light barely warmed it. There was no visible wound, no wallet, and no phone. His breathing was shallow, and his pulse was dangerously slow. Emily placed him carefully on his side so his airway remained clear, covered his shoulders with her jacket, and did not move him again. "Stay with me," she said. "Help is coming." His right hand held a heavy silver ring engraved with a crown between 2 wings. A polished black stone sat at its center. His fingers tightened around it as if someone might steal it even there. His eyelids lifted for half a second. The gray eyes beneath them were sharp with fear despite his weakness. "Vale," he breathed. "Do not let Vale take the witness." His hand fell open. The ring rolled across the pavement and stopped against Emily's knee. The dispatcher asked whether his breathing had changed. Emily reported the slower rhythm and described his words as confusion. A siren sounded in the distance, then faded behind traffic. She picked up the ring before storm water could carry it into a drain. Inside the band, beneath the crest, someone had engraved a telephone number and 4 words. "If the guardian falls, call." Emily hesitated. Emergency services were already coming, and sensible people did not telephone mysterious numbers found inside ancient-looking rings. Then the stranger's breathing stopped for one terrifying beat before returning in a shallow gasp. Emily dialed. The call connected before the first ring finished. A man's deep voice answered with a single command. "Report." Emily looked down at the stranger beneath her jacket. "I found the man wearing your ring," she said. Silence filled the line. Then the voice changed from controlled authority to something colder. "Tell me exactly where you are. Whoever brought him down may still be watching you." Emily gave the intersection but kept her apartment address to herself. The man on the telephone did not argue. He asked whether the stranger was breathing, whether the black stone remained in the ring, and whether anyone had approached since she entered the alley. His questions were precise enough to steady her. "The ambulance is less than 2 minutes away," Emily said. "Who are you?" Another pause followed. Rain struck the metal fire escape above her in a hard, uneven rhythm. "My name is Lucian Ashford," the man answered. "The person beside you is Adrian Blackwood. He is my oldest friend and the first guardian of my house." Emily looked at Adrian's colorless face. "He told me not to let the vampire king inside." The silence on the line became absolute. "Did he name the person who betrayed him?" Lucian asked. Emily remembered the fear in Adrian's gray eyes. She also remembered the warning that someone might still be watching. "He was barely conscious," she said carefully. It was not a lie, but it was not the whole truth. Lucian seemed to understand her caution. "Then keep that answer until we meet. Do not give it to anyone who asks without proving who they serve." Red emergency lights finally swept across the brick walls. 2 paramedics entered with equipment while a third spoke to Emily. She handed over the ring only after they confirmed that Adrian's name matched a medical alert card, hidden inside his coat. One paramedic checked Adrian's pulse twice and frowned at the monitor. His heart rate was dangerously low, yet his blood pressure remained strangely stable. They administered oxygen, secured him to the stretcher, and moved quickly toward the ambulance. Emily followed as far as the alley entrance. Adrian's hand rose weakly before the doors closed. His gaze found hers through the rain. "Midnight," he whispered. "Make him answer first." Then the doors shut. Lucian was still listening through her phone. "You saved more than one life tonight," he said. Emily stepped beneath an awning, shivering now that urgency no longer protected her from the cold. "I called for help. That is all."
"No," Lucian replied.
"You stayed when leaving would have been easier. In my world, that choice has consequences." Emily did not like the weight he placed on the word consequences. "Is that a threat?" "It is a warning about those who will mistake your compassion for allegiance." His voice softened without losing its authority. "Go home by a public route. Do not accept a ride from anyone. At midnight, I will come to explain what Adrian placed in your hands." Emily glanced toward the ambulance. The ring went with him. "The ring is not what awakened." A quiet click sounded on Lucian's end, followed by distant voices moving with sudden purpose. "Before you open your door, ask me who betrayed him. If I refuse to answer, keep the door closed." That was exactly what Adrian had tried to tell her. Emily tightened her grip on the phone. "How will you find me?" Adrian heard the paramedic confirm your full name. "My physician is meeting him at Harbor Medical Center now. I will ask for your address only if he gives it freely after he wakes. If he does not wake, I will not come." The answer respected a boundary she had not expected him to notice. "And if he wakes?" she asked. Lucian's reply came with relief he could no longer hide. "Then at midnight, Emily Carter, the Vampire King will owe you the truth." The call ended. Across the street, beneath the dark window of a closed tailor shop, a man in a gray coat lowered his phone and walked away before Emily could see his face. By the time Emily reached her third-floor apartment on Willow Street, it was 11:17. Police officers had taken a brief witness statement outside the alley. A hospital coordinator had confirmed that Adrian was alive, and the restaurant manager had telephoned twice about the blue jacket she had left with a stranger. Ordinary details should have made the night feel manageable. Instead, Adrian's warning followed her up every stair. She locked the door, changed into dry clothes, and made tea she forgot to drink. The apartment consisted of a narrow kitchen, a living room crowded with second-hand books, and one bedroom facing the street. It had never felt luxurious, but it had always felt safe. Tonight every passing engine drew her to the window. At 11:32, Harbor Medical Center called. A nurse explained that Adrian had regained consciousness after receiving an antidote supplied by his private physician. He remained weak but stable. When Emily asked whether she could speak with him, the nurse said he was being transferred to a secure recovery facility at his own request. Before ending the call, the nurse added one unusual message. "He said to tell you that the witness remembers the hand that chose mercy." Emily wrote the sentence in her notebook, then stared at it until the words blurred. At 11:46, the kitchen light flickered. At 11:51, a black sedan turned onto Willow Street and parked beneath her window. Two more followed, not racing or blocking traffic, but moving with exact coordination. Men and women in dark coats stepped out and took positions along the sidewalk. None displayed weapons. None approached the building. They watched the rooftops, alley entrances, and intersections rather than Emily's windows, which made their purpose more unsettling, not less. At 11:58, a longer car stopped at the curb. The rear door remained closed while the final seconds moved across the clock above Emily's stove. Midnight arrived. Every vehicle switched off its headlights at once. The rear door opened, and a tall man stepped into the fine rain. He wore a charcoal overcoat over a black suit. His shoulder-length dark hair was damp at the ends, and his pale face held the composed severity of someone accustomed to being obeyed. He did not look toward the guards. He looked directly at Emily's third-floor window. Even at that distance, she saw his silver-gray eyes. The apartment buzzer sounded. Emily did not answer. A minute later, 3 measured knocks touched her door. No footsteps had crossed the stairs. No floorboard had creaked. She approached quietly and left the safety chain fastened. "Who is it?" she called. "Lucian Ashford." His voice was the same one that had reached her through the storm. Adrian is awake. He told me where to find you, and he asked me to honor your question before I request anything else. Emily opened the door 2 inches. Lucian stood alone beneath the weak hallway light, several feet back from the threshold. No assistant waited behind him. No guard occupied the stairs. Who betrayed him? She asked. Lucian's expression hardened with something deeper than anger. Councilor Dorian Vale ordered Adrian stopped before he could bring evidence to me. Vale sits at my table, votes under my seal, and has called himself loyal for nearly 200 years. Emily searched his face. And you are really the Vampire King? Yes. He did not smile or dramatize the answer. The man you saved is my first guardian. The object inside his ring can prove treason. Your decision to save him activated an older law that Vale hoped the world had forgotten. Lucian slowly opened his empty hands. I have not come to claim you, compel you, or purchase your kindness. I have come because the people who failed to silence Adrian now know that he spoke to you. A soft footstep sounded on the stairwell below. Lucian turned his head before Emily heard the second one. They arrived sooner than I expected, he said. From the darkness beneath them, a woman's voice rose with formal calm. By order of the Night Council, surrender the mortal witness before the king destroys his crown for her. Emily's first instinct was to close the door. Her second was to demand that Lucian explain why strangers were discussing her, as if she were property. Lucian remained outside the threshold, positioned between her and the stairwell without moving closer. No order of the Night Council gives you authority over this home, he said. The woman below climbed into view. She appeared about 40, dressed in a gray coat with a silver pin at the collar. 2 men followed and stopped several steps behind her. Their posture was disciplined, but they carried no visible weapons. I am Magistrate Lenora Vane, she said to Emily. You touched a protected relic during an act governed by the Mercy Covenant. The council requires your account before sunrise. Requires? Emily asked. You may appear voluntarily, Lenora replied, or the council may isolate you until the facts are established. Lucian's eyes never left the magistrate. That second option is unlawful, and you know it. Lenora's gaze shifted to him. The law becomes difficult when a king places personal feeling above procedure. Emily almost laughed at the absurdity. She had known Lucian for 1 telephone call and less than 5 minutes in a hallway. Yet the accusation affected him. Not with embarrassment, but with the stillness of a man who had heard the same weapon used before. He reached slowly into his coat and removed a small pendant bearing the winged crown. The silver rested on his open palm. This seal marks the protection required by the Mercy Covenant, he told Emily. Accepting it creates no debt, allegiance, engagement, or claim over your future. It only prevents any member of my world from approaching you without permission, while the danger caused by tonight remains unresolved. You may refuse it. Lenora stepped higher. If she accepts your personal seal before giving testimony, Vale will accuse you of shaping her account. Vale will accuse me regardless, Lucian said. Emily studied the pendant. She thought about Adrian struggling to breathe in the alley, the observer across the street, and the word isolate spoken with polished courtesy. Then she looked at Lucian. If I take it, do I still decide whether I attend this hearing? Every decision remains yours. And if I ask you to leave? I leave. Then I accept the protection, not obedience. A flicker of approval passed through his face. Emily reached through the narrow opening and took the pendant. The metal warmed immediately against her palm. The hallway lights went dark. Somewhere below, a door slammed and the entire building shuddered as if a heavy truck had passed outside. Lucian moved 1 step toward Emily, then stopped at the threshold. May I enter? He asked. The question mattered more than the danger in his voice. Emily released the safety chain. Yes. He crossed into the apartment, and she closed the door behind him. The pendant brightened only by reflecting the emergency lights from the street, yet a low vibration moved through the walls and vanished. Lucian listened. Vale's people interrupted the building's power and tried to break the protective line outside, he said. They failed. Lenora's voice came through the door. At 4 in the morning, the council will hear the guardian's evidence. If the human witness does not appear, Vale will move to suspend the king for concealing her. Emily turned to Lucian. Can he do that? He can try. What happens if he succeeds? Lucian looked toward her rain-streaked window, where his guards were quietly restoring order without disturbing the neighbors. The throne passes temporarily to the senior councilor. That councilor is Dorian Vale. The story finally took shape. Adrian had not been attacked at random. The person who arranged it stood to gain control if Lucian protected the only human witness. You could send me somewhere and say you never found me, Emily said. I could, Lucian answered. It would be safer for my crown. But not for Adrian. No. Or for anyone Vale targets next. No. Emily fastened the pendant around her neck. Fear remained, but it no longer controlled the room. Then I will testify. Lucian's composure broke for one brief second, revealing concern rather than triumph. You do not owe me that. I know, she said. That is why the choice means something. Lucian dismissed the motorcade and kept only one car. The decision reduced attention around Emily's building and made it clear that she was not being paraded before anyone. Before leaving, Emily telephoned Megan, her closest friend at the restaurant, and said that she had witnessed a medical emergency and might miss the morning shift while answering questions. It was incomplete, but it was believable. Lucian waited by the apartment door. Without listening, he also offered Emily 3 alternatives: remain under guard at home, go to a neutral attorney, or attend the council hearing. She chose the hearing again. Only then did he escort her downstairs. The rain had softened to mist. No one touched her, rushed her, or opened the car door until she nodded. Inside, Lucian sat across from her rather than beside her. City lights moved across his pale face as the sedan traveled toward the waterfront. You keep giving me exits, Emily said. Most powerful men I have met are better at closing them. Power without consent is only fear wearing formal clothes, Lucian replied. His answer sounded practiced through regret. Emily asked why. For several blocks he watched the dark city beyond the glass. A human physician once saved my younger sister during an epidemic, he said. The council feared that she had learned too much, so they removed her memory and sent her away before I returned. My sister survived, but the woman who saved her lost years of her life to confusion she never deserved. I was already king. I told myself I had arrived too late to stop it. You still blame yourself. A crown does not make lateness innocent. The quiet admission changed the space between them. Emily understood why he had remained outside her threshold, and why every offer came with a refusal built into it. He was not merely following ancient law. He was trying not to repeat an old failure. The sedan turned away from the direct waterfront route. Emily noticed the same gray car make the turn behind them, then follow through 2 more intersections. Lucian pressed a button beside his seat. A privacy panel lowered, revealing the driver. Neutral police station or the council in trance? Lucian asked Emily. If you want to leave this world now, we stop at the station and place you with a human attorney. She looked through the rear window. The gray car was gaining. Would that keep Vale from taking control? No, but it would keep you outside the hearing. Emily remembered Adrian's body beneath her jacket. Council in trance. Lucian gave the driver a single nod. The sedan accelerated without breaking traffic laws, entered a private garage beneath a restored waterfront hotel, and passed through steel doors seconds before the gray car reached the ramp. The doors sealed behind them. Lucian listened to something beyond the concrete that Emily could not hear. Vale knows where the hearing will begin, he said. Now we find out how much he is willing to destroy before it does. An elevator carried Emily and Lucian below street level, where modern concrete gave way to black stone arches older than the city above. Adrian waited in a secure library with a physician and 2 neutral guards. He wore fresh clothes and looked stronger, but one hand remained braced against the table. Relief crossed his face when Emily entered. You should be resting, she told him. So should you, he replied. Apparently neither of us is sensible. Lucian almost smiled. Adrian removed the silver ring and placed it on a square of white cloth. The black stone at its center was split by a narrow crack. This is an obsidian witness, he explained. A sworn guardian carries one when investigating the crown. It records what the bearer sees and hears during a declared inquiry. Vale's people attacked me because this stone contains his orders, his accounts, and the names of those he threatened into silence. Emily looked at the crack. Can the council still read it? Not in its damaged state. The stone closed itself when my heart nearly stopped. Adrian's gaze lowered to the pendant against her sweater. The mercy covenant recognized the person who preserved my life. It may open for the hand that chose freely when mine could not. Lucian immediately intervened. May is not certainty. If the stone rejects the attempt, the pendant could become painfully hot. You are not required to touch it. Emily appreciated the warning, but another question mattered more. If I do nothing, Vale controls the council by sunrise? Adrian nodded. He will call my evidence fabricated and your rescue a performance arranged by the king. Emily approached the table. She did not touch the ring yet. Tell me what he was trying to hide. Adrian explained that Vale had diverted money from protected shelters, manufactured incidents between humans and vampires, and then blamed each side for the fear he created. Lucian had planned to place those shelters under independent oversight. Vale needed him removed before the vote. The attack in the alley had been intended to destroy the witness and make Adrian disappear long enough for the succession motion to pass. Emily thought about all the people whose choices had been reduced by someone else's hunger for control. Then she held out her hand. What do I say? Adrian answered. Only the truth. Emily placed 2 fingers on the black stone. Warmth moved from the pendant to her wrist. The crack filled with a thin line of silver light, and a man's recorded voice emerged from the ring. Before midnight, recover the witness. If the guardian survives, make the mortal rescuer look like the king's accomplice. Emily recognized the speaker. It was the man in the gray coat who had watched her leave the alley. Adrian went still. Lucian's eyes darkened. The recording continued with a second, more authoritative voice. Then let her compassion cost Lucian his throne. Adrian whispered the name before the image appeared above the stone. Dorian Valley. At 3:40 in the morning, Emily entered the Hall of Crowns between Lucian and Adrian. The chamber lay beneath the oldest wing of the waterfront hotel, hidden behind doors that appeared to be part of a private museum. 40 council seats curved around a circular floor. Their occupants looked human at first glance, although too many faces remained unchanged by fatigue, and too many eyes followed Emily's heartbeat rather than her steps. No one displayed fangs. No one needed to. Power lived in the silence that greeted Lucian. Dorian Vale stood at the central table. He appeared near 50, with silver at his temples, a dark formal suit, and the reassuring expression of a man who had built his career by making cruelty sound reasonable. Magistrate Lenora Vane sat among the neutral officers. The gray-coated observer from the alley stood behind Vale, confirming that the voice from the witness belonged to one of his agents. A white-haired woman introduced herself as the High Archivist and opened the hearing under laws that predated the city above. Dorian spoke first. He claimed Adrian had conducted an unauthorized inquiry, Lucian had concealed a human witness, and Emily had been promised financial reward in exchange for supporting the king. Emily expected Lucian to object. He remained silent because the law denied the accused ruler a voice until every witness had spoken. Dorian turned to her with practiced sympathy. Miss Carter, no one blames you for being frightened. Tell the council what the king offered you. Protection, Emily said. Anything else? A choice. Quiet movement passed through the seats. Dorian's smile held. Did he pay your rent? No. Offer employment? No. Promise status within his court? No. Then why are you here? Emily looked at Adrian before answering. Because somebody left him to die in an alley, and the person who ordered it expected everyone else to protect themselves by looking away. Dorian's smile disappeared. Emily described the rescue in clear order, including her emergency call, the engraved number, Lucian's warning, and the hospital transfer. She did not mention the exact words Adrian had whispered about Vale. That detail had never appeared in her police statement because she had reported only that the patient seemed confused. It had never appeared in the hospital record either. She held it back now because Lucian had told her the council valued proof, and she wanted one fact known only to the attacker, Adrian, and herself. Adrian placed the damaged obsidian witness on the central table. Emily touched it with the High Archivist's permission. The same recording filled the chamber. Vale's agent ordered the witness recovered. Then Dorian's image appeared and delivered the sentence about compassion costing Lucian his throne. Several councilors rose. Others demanded verification. Dorian did not retreat. A damaged witness can combine memory with suggestion, he said. The mortal heard the king accuse me before she touched it. The image proves nothing until the stone is examined. An examination requires 3 days. The High Archivist reluctantly confirmed that ordinary certification would take that long. Vale raised a sealed document. The succession motion cannot wait. Lucian brought an influenced mortal into a sovereign hearing, while wearing his personal protection seal. Until the evidence is certified, the council must presume manipulation and suspend him. Lucian finally received permission to speak. Emily accepted protection after Vale's agents approached her home. She has received no reward and owes me no allegiance. Dorian faced him. Then release her. Remove the pendant, erase what she learned, and let her return to her small life. Your throne will remain secure. The chamber waited. Emily felt every gaze move to Lucian. He could preserve centuries of authority with one order. Instead, he removed the royal signet from his hand and set it on the table. A throne preserved by taking her choice is not one I will keep. The pendant against Emily's chest turned cold as neutral guard stepped between them. For the first time that night, Lucian no longer looked like the most powerful person in the room. Vale lifted the royal signet with quiet satisfaction. By temporary authority of the council, the human witness will be isolated until her memory can be corrected. Emily's fear returned with full force. Lucian had surrendered a kingdom rather than surrender her freedom, and the man who had hunted Adrian now held the crown. As guards approached, Dorian looked at Emily and made one fatal mistake. You should have obeyed the guardian, he said softly. You should never have let Vale take the witness. Emily stopped. The neutral guard beside her waited rather than touching her arm. Across the chamber, Adrian lifted his head. Lucian's expression did not change, but his attention sharpened. Emily faced Dorian. What did you just say? Dorian settled the royal signet onto his finger. I said you should have obeyed the injured man and stayed out of royal affairs. No. You said I should never have let Vale take the witness. A trace of irritation crossed his face. The phrase appears in your statement. It does not. Emily turned to the High Archivist. Please read my police statement and the hospital intake report into the record. Dorian raised one hand. This delay changes nothing. The High Archivist ignored him. She opened the verified human records supplied by Harbor Medical Center. Emily's statement reported that Adrian had warned, "Do not let them," before losing consciousness. The paramedic heard the same unfinished words. Neither document included Vale's name or the phrase "take the witness." Emily had not spoken those words during the hearing. Adrian had not spoken them after waking. Lucian had named Dorian as the betrayer, but even he had never repeated Adrian's precise sentence. The chamber grew still. Only 3 people knew the full warning, Emily said. Adrian, me, and whoever told the attacker what to retrieve. Dorian's confidence thinned. The king could have taken it from your memory. Then swear that beneath the archive seal. The High Archivist looked at Emily with new interest. The Mercy Covenant allowed a mortal rescuer one petition before the debt could be declared complete. Emily had not asked for money, rank, or safety. She used that right now. My petition is simple. Test the witness immediately under the archive seal, with no hand on it except mine and Councilor Vale's. If the stone is false, I will leave this chamber and accept the neutral protection of the court. If it is true, certify it before anyone carries that signet another step. The law left Dorian no clean refusal. If he rejected the petition, he violated the very covenant he had used to suspend Lucian. If he accepted, the damaged stone would compare its sealed memory against the aura of the person accused. Dorian tried one final argument. A human cannot understand what she is invoking. Emily held his gaze. That is what people say when they need someone else's ignorance more than they need the truth. The High Archivist placed the obsidian witness beneath a carved silver arch. Emily rested her fingers on one side. Dorian was ordered to place his hand on the other. The moment he touched the ring, the crack opened with clear white light. Images unfolded above the table in exact sequence. Dorian meeting the gray-coated agent. Dorian transferring shelter funds into private accounts. Dorian ordering Adrian delayed before the reform vote. Dorian saying that no human would stop to save a body in the rain, and that if one did, fear would make the witness disappear. The final image showed his agent watching Emily outside the alley while reporting that she had heard Adrian speak. The stone went dark. No one moved. The High Archivist examined the seal and declared the record unaltered. Magistrate Lenora removed the royal signet from Dorian's hand. Neutral officers escorted him and his agent from the chamber to await trial before an independent tribunal. There was no struggle and no public spectacle, only the sudden collapse of authority that had depended on silence. The council reversed Lucian's suspension. He did not reach for the signet. He looked first at Emily. "Are you free to leave?" he asked. The High Archivist confirmed that the covenant had been honored, and that no one could lawfully alter Emily's memory or restrict her movement. Only then did Lucian accept the crown seal again. Dawn had not yet reached the streets above, but the darkest part of the night was over. Adrian approached Emily with tired gratitude. "You saved me twice," he said. Emily shook her head. "The second time you brought the evidence." Lucian came to stand several feet away, still leaving her a clear path to the door. "And she made certain power could not bury it," he said. His voice carried the same authority as before, but now Emily heard what lived beneath it. Respect. The council remained in session long enough to freeze Dorian's accounts, restore the money taken from the shelters, and place the protection network under independent review. Lucian proposed an additional reform before anyone could turn Emily's rescue into a legend stripped of its meaning. No human who encountered the Hidden Kingdom would ever again be detained, rewarded, bound, or deprived of memory without informed consent. The measure passed first by a narrow margin, then unanimously when the High Archivist added the evidence of Dorian's abuse to the permanent record. Emily listened from the open doorway. She did not need a seat or title to know that her choice in the alley had changed more than one night. Adrian remained under medical supervision, and Lucian ordered him to rest before he could volunteer for another duty. The old friends argued quietly for less than a minute before Adrian conceded with the expression of a man planning to ignore half the instruction. Their warmth made the hidden court feel less like a kingdom of monsters, and more like any family that had survived fear by refusing to abandon one another. When Emily and Lucian finally reached the hotel lobby, early morning rain streaked the tall windows. The city beyond them was beginning to wake. Delivery trucks moved along the waterfront. Coffee shops switched on their lights, and no one passing outside knew that a throne had changed hands twice beneath their feet. Lucian offered to drive Emily home. "One car," she said. "No preseschen." A faint smile reached his eyes. One car. During the ride he returned the silver pendant. Its legal protection had ended with Dorian's arrest, but the object now belonged to Emily under the covenant. "You may keep it, store it, sell it, or throw it into the bay," he said. "Its meaning is yours to decide." Emily turned the winged crown between her fingers. "I will keep it. Not because I stand under your protection." "Why then?" "Because it reminds me that I did not imagine any of this." Lucian laughed once, quietly and without royal restraint. It was the most human sound she had heard from him. At Willow Street, he walked her to the building entrance and stopped before the first stair. "The debt is complete," he said. "You owe my kingdom nothing." Emily understood that he was giving her the clean ending he believed she deserved. She also saw the loneliness he kept behind perfect courtesy. "What if I want an answer that is not required by law?" she asked. "Then I will answer if it is mine to give. Why did you cross the city yourself? You could have sent Adrian's physician or a dozen guards." Lucian looked toward the window of her small apartment. "At first because honor required it. Then Adrian woke and told me that you had protected a stranger with the only warm coat you owned. I wanted to meet the person who still made that choice when no one was watching." Emily felt warmth rise beneath the cold air. "And now I would like to see you again when no law, danger, or debt is standing between us." He did not step closer. He waited. Emily smiled. "Come to Riverside Grill tomorrow after sunset. Sit in a normal booth. Order something ordinary." "What qualifies as ordinary?" Coffee and pie. I can manage that. 6 months later, Emily completed the emergency medical technician program she had once abandoned. She paid her tuition through a city scholarship expanded for all service workers, a program Lucian supported publicly, but could not control privately. Adrian fully recovered and became the first guardian assigned to the new Independent Oversight Council. The protected shelters reopened with transparent funding. Emily never accepted a court title, but she advised the Human Liaison Office whenever its rules forgot the people they were meant to protect. Lucian continued visiting the restaurant after sunset, always without a motorcade. Trust grew slowly through questions, shared silences, and the freedom to disagree. On a rainy evening 6 months after the storm, they returned to the alley where Adrian had fallen. Rain tapped softly against the fire escape. Lucian held out his hand, not as a king collecting a debt, but as a man asking a question. Emily placed her hand in his. At midnight, the vampire king had come for the woman who saved his guardian. By dawn, he had learned that genuine mercy could not be owned, commanded, or repaid. It could only be honored, and if both hearts chose freely, returned.